we are. I'm here with my buddy, Kevin Hsieh. You also definitely check out his YouTube channel, links in the show notes. And we are both UMBC retrievers. We play tennis there, although Kevin is much younger and more handsome than me. But but it's Rich trying to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Oh, anytime. I mean, it was so cool to see you at 5-0 Nationals. My girlfriend was out there playing and you were playing and you were playing well. Really stiff competition out there. I guess first off, how was that experience for you?
Honestly, I was very surprised at how fun it was. To be honest, I haven't gone to a national event since I'm in college club when I played for them for fun. I never really went to the adult ones, even though I qualified for them. I just always ended up working. So I was a little hesitant, but had a blast. Had a good time competing. It was fun to be in that environment again. I think the biggest thing was it was super exciting to feel that competitive edge, right? I feel like, especially in the PNW, that's something that's always missing because I'm sure it's the same. Actually, I know it's the same back home in Maryland. It's very tight knit. So you get very comfortable playing the same people, right? But then when you're in that atmosphere where everyone's competing super hard, it feels like a collegiate duel match. It's really exciting to kind of have that adrenaline rush again. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I got to give you all kudos because I believe, if I remember correctly, you all got to the semis. Yeah, really great effort there. In contrast, I played 5-0 Nationals the previous year and we got a beat down from the teams. I mean, good experience, like it's fine, but it's just tough competition. So great job there. Kevin, I think it's interesting for the viewers to find out how my guests first started with tennis. I'm curious about your origin story.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple, actually. It's not as deep as other people where they start at 5 years old, 6 years old. I started when I was 10, basically only started because my brother picked it up. My brother's 4 years older, so it's kind of me always chasing him, right? And, he started winning a ton of trophies, winning tournaments, and my parents were really happy about him. So I was like, you know what? I want to start doing this too. And I was around that time where also I was dabbling in a lot of different sports, basketball, soccer, and I was starting to realize I hated team sports. So it was the perfect time to transition because I was always just like, wow, this person missed this shot. Wow, this person can't pass this here and stuff like that. Obviously that was 10-year-old myself talking, but I came to that realization I didn't really enjoy team sports as much. I wanted kind of everything to be on me. And then, yeah, basically I started taking tennis seriously at 10 years old, started trying to play catch up with everybody else. Sort of did the entire junior route. I competed a lot. I traveled a little bit, but I was also never that kid who, technically in Maryland, Tiafo was the same age group because he was playing up into my age group and destroying everyone, right? So I was never that kid who was constantly traveling all the way to California or Texas and things like that. I travel along the East Coast occasionally. And then, that was basically it. That's how I got into it. It was very, very cookie cutter.
Got you. And so did you take a bunch of private lessons? Or you do clinics? What was it like there?
Yeah, did a bunch of private lessons and clinics. And when I say clinics, it wasn't like I was part of a program. So I think the biggest thing is I was never affiliated with a club. I never went to JTCC to train with everyone else after school, right? Occasionally, did you ever know Joseph Lizardo?
Yes, I did know him, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember Joseph came. He was here for about 2 years, trained with Joseph out in Bear Hills in Baltimore. And but it was a bunch of kind of stuff like that where I was going back and forth. I had one coach, Mike Lissner, for a while. He started to slow down coaching, and I went with a guy, Carl Ward, if you remember him. Went with Carl for a long time, and then that was basically everything leading up to college. I just did a bunch of these small clinic groups. Yeah, I was never tied to any specific program. So it was very unorthodox, especially now as a coach, seeing how important having that environment is. A lot of it is also me thinking wow, I wonder what it would have been like had I just had something, But
yeah, makes sense. I mean, I was going to ask you, you pretty much answered. I was going to ask, what is one lesson you would take from your junior career? What would you have done differently? So that environment, I think.
Yeah, I think the environment, wishing I took tennis a lot more seriously. So one of the biggest things was, especially as a coach now, I think the environment is the most important thing, right? Because your environment either keeps you playing the sport or it teaches you not to like the sport, especially as a kid, right? You're out there by yourself grinding hours and hours, weekends on weekends, right? It was hard for me because growing up with my parents were very stereotypical Tiger parents. So there were times where I lost like first rounds. My mom's like yelling at me in the car, like, how could you lose? Or like, yeah, but even things where it's like, like, and don't get me wrong, Mom, if you listen to this for whatever reason, love you to death. And you know that.
Yeah.
We have a great relationship now. But it was a lot of like, I would watch her walk away from my matches if I started losing in the second set. So it was very, very, very cutthroat. And I think like had I been in a environment where the coaches were there to actually help educate my mom or educate my parents on like the importance of the mentality and things like that of a player, then it also could have been a lot better of a journey for me, right? Luckily, I'm fortunate that I still love the sport, which is why I still like to teach it. I still like to talk about it.
Yeah.
But another part of that is also like just being able to keep going and not mentally break down, because I actually quit for a year and not many people know that. When I was 16, my mom made me quit because the pressure kind of got to me and I caved. And so I took a whole year off. I remember I played like high school tennis that year, and then I played a couple of tournaments, and I was just doing private lessons like once or twice a week. But that was my training for about 8 months. And so if there was something I could have changed, it's just the environment kind of like trickled into all of that, right? Had I just been in a better space, better community, just kind of being pushed the right way. That's something that I wish. I still look back and I'm like, wow, like what if I still had those 8 months, So.
Same here, man. I definitely think I really wish I took things seriously. I mean, there were some opportunities, like actually for JTCC, they right before they built it, they had this like tryouts for their program. And I remember they invited me to do it. And I was actually like very scared about it. I like didn't like the pressure. So I was like, I'm not going, thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, it could have been a life-changing, opportunity, but it happened. So learn from it and move on. So,
Yep.
And then how did you get into obviously my favorite college of all time, UMBC? How did that work out?
Yeah. So I had been going to that UMBC tennis camp during the summers, like when it was like an Adidas tennis camp, right? I remember the first year, I think he might have been your year, Shane, or around that time. Shane. He was with like Wally and Christian. And I forget the number 2 guy, the Hispanic guy who's like, he kind of played like Nadal, but.
Oh, Oscar or something?
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit before me.
Okay.
Yeah, I came a little after.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I remember just always going to those camps. I'd met Coach Rob there, right? Met Rob and Rob. That's where I met Carl also. So kind of like ever since I was in high school, they had a quote unquote eye out for me. And then I got into school. I guess this kind of ties into what I just told you, where I quit my junior year, right? I didn't play, but I didn't know that Coach Hubbard was also tracking me, right? So it was one of those things where we go to State's senior year, and he's just like, hey, I saw you got into school. You're gonna go, right? And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm already committed to State's already. And he was just like, do you want to play? I remember just looking at him. I was like, yes, but you're gonna have to talk to my mom. Just like I said, right? But I was like, not a lot of people knew that story for me, where I had to quit, right?
Yeah.
So literally at States, did you ever also know Biek?
I know him from like UMBC.
Right. So Biek like was at States with us, and he goes, yeah, we also recruited Biek, so he's coming. I was just like, oh, okay, like we're both from Howard County, like Biek is someone I've hit with a lot. Like, why not? I would love to, right? And he's like, you're gonna come on as a walk-on recruit and all this stuff, whatever that actually means. And basically, he literally walks over after I said that, talks to my mom, and my mom just goes, I mean, yeah, he got into college, that's fine, he can play. And I was just like, what the heck just happened? Like, for me, I was like, whoa. For them, it was just like, okay, yes, no, done. For me, I was like, what just happened? I'm going to play in college now? And so, yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of like, that's how it all went.
That's really awesome. Yeah. College was quite an experience for me. I definitely, of course, ups and downs and like playing in the lineup, not playing in the lineup, and like learning how to deal with that. I actually think that helped me a lot now because like, for example, like when I went to nationals last year, I didn't play as much as some of the other guys, but like I was already used to things like that and like try to support the team. So I was wondering about like your experience like on the team as well, in terms of like, how was it for you? Like what challenges did you face? Like lessons learned, things like that.
Oh man, I loved every second of it. just because, like I said, I kind of felt like I was always playing catch up, right? So the tennis part I loved. I think the guys that I meet, the team itself, we are definitely all still brothers. And I don't know if you saw this, but earlier this year in April or May, I forget. Sorry, Melker, if I forgot, but we all actually met up in Sweden because my captain was getting married.
Yeah.
So he invited all of us. And it was like the first time we have all been reunited ever since 2016 when the team was cut. So it's been 9 years, and it was a very surreal moment. So like, I'm forever grateful for that experience in college, right? On top of that, yes, dealt with the same ups and downs. I knew I was busting my ass every day. I knew I was working super hard. I was always trying to be on time and things like that. I was trying to do well in school.
Right.
And, there were moments where I was like, Coach, like, I'd like to take a shot at the lineup. Also, there were times where I was like in the lineup. I was like, Coach, don't take me out. Don't take me out yet. I'm working some things. Like, I promise I'm tweaking some things here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think overall, extremely, extremely net positive experience. I look back to it, and I think a big part is, like, especially as someone who wasn't supposed to play college, I talk to everyone about it where it's like, you should always try.
Yeah.
Because the experience itself, once you're there, as long as the program does do their job of trying to take care of you, it's a very good time. I have also heard horror stories from some kids that I have coached that went to college and things like that. So, so yeah, that's kind of where you can get a little bit iffy depending on the school.
Gotcha. Do you have a favorite memory from college tennis?
A favorite memory?
Always tough question.
Tennis specifically, or just around like the college tennis environment?
You could either one.
Okay, I get tennis specific was my first invitational. I think we were playing at George Mason, if I remember correctly, and very bittersweet. But I'm nervous as hell, right? I'm like shaking before the matches and things like that. I'm like, okay, like this is my chance, time to go. And I remember playing my first match. I forget his name, to be quite honest, but I remember in midway in the second set, I started cramping and lower body cramping. And I was just like, no way, this is how it's going to crumble. And my captain was the acting coach at the time. I think Hubbard was at a different site because they had multiple sites.
I see.
Captain comes over just to talk to me because you can coach in college tennis, right? And he just goes, okay, here's what you're going to do. I go, yeah. He goes, you're going to start to keep every point short and you're going to slap every ball. Now, if anyone knows anything about me or watches me play tennis, I don't do that. I was always taught to grind, things like that, like miss the ball deep into the corners, backhand corners, and things like that. And I was just like, he was like, you can't move. So when you get your feet set, I just need you to go. And I was just like, all right, got it. This did fall. Yeah, might as well. And I ended up pulling out that match in the third set.
Wow, nice.
And it was amazing. And then the match after the next day, I played I think it was like a 5-star blue chip at the time, Danny Naja. And he had just undergone shoulder surgery the summer of. So he couldn't raise his arm above a certain height. So serves and overheads were just no-go. But what that meant was he was literally he hit the most perfect underhand serve. We're talking, this thing always bounced twice in the service box. I was not kidding you. So I'm literally standing 2 feet on his serve games, 2 feet behind the service line, and I'm either chip and charging or I'm rolling in and coming in. And it's either a pass or it's a lob over or I'm closing the volley. And that was it.
Oh my gosh.
It was so frustrating because then in my service games, he gets to rip groundies and I'm stuck like, okay, I haven't hit a really ground stroke yet. Like I just been chipping coming in and then like hitting volleys. And so like I remember winning that match in straight sets, but I explain it this way because I was so confused when I came out of that match. I was just like, I don't even know how I finished the match. I was so lost the entire match, but I think because of that, and I think I had one more good result after, it was just like a really fun and confident building experience to start the year off. Like my freshman year off, I was like, okay, it couldn't be better for me. So yeah.
That's solid ones there. Thanks for sharing. So I guess with tennis, how do you compare USTA tennis to like college and other experiences?
I think so. This is kind of the way I view USTA, and if some of your viewers get on me, I'm sorry. Okay, this is just my hot take.
Opinions, yeah.
Yeah. So I think USTA I think it's just very, what's the word, like bubbly. Okay.
Hmm.
So I think back home in Maryland, I had a tough time doing USTA because a lot of the players that you would play with didn't matter which rating, whether I did 9.0 or I did 10.0, right? Everyone was just older. So when I'm coming out of college, everyone's like 35 plus. It is a little bit hard to connect socially, right? But that's kind of like the whole point of USTA leagues. It's social tennis with a little more of elevated experiences when you make it there, right?
Yeah.
That's why I see it.
Right.
And one of the things is that's a little bit different here in Washington, actually, is all of my teammates are 30 and under, which I was very shocked about, or at least majority of them are, right? A lot of people here actually play USTA even when they're still in college. Like I've met so many college club people who love playing like 4-5-5-0. And it's really cool because, that there's that social aspect of it, at least when I had first moved, right? So it makes it a little bit easier to connect in that sense. I think that was kind of like the thing I missed the most from college. Luckily in college, I was able to do both the varsity team and then when we got cut, I did club and things like that. And I think coming out of club, that experience was amazing because there's a social aspect, right? You're competing at all these places, but then you're also getting to connect with all the other schools. That's not something you really get to do on the varsity team, right? Because it's just dual match and then you split up or you go hang out with your teams, right? So that was a really cool thing. And I liked how, especially at sectionals or even going to nationals this year, it kind of felt like that social experience that was really fulfilling and nice to have, aside from the competitive tennis. So it was like a good blend of both, right? And I feel like that's something that there needs to be a way to recreate that more away from just nationals, right?
Yeah.
And I know sometimes some teams locally will get together and do stuff here and there, but I know that's also kind of why I liked YoPro. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
You set up? Yeah. It's like it's social competitive tennis, right?
Yeah.
So I think there just needs to be more of that. I think that's kind of the side I ended up catering to a little bit more away from college tennis experience, right? But I think having both, especially at our age as you start to get older, right? So I think that's just more important.
Yeah, no, totally. Especially with the rise of like pickleball and other sports, but mostly that one. That's super social, and you just drop in and rotate. And so we need to compete with that. Get some of those folks back or into tennis. So yeah, definitely. With your content creation, definitely want to get into that. Like as you know, like I've been in the game for a while, and you're doing awesome. Like making a lot of videos and content also on Instagram at Kevin Hsieh TV. So check that out. So how did you get into that? Like what inspired you to create content?
So I always just liked the idea of it. And I did it like 3 years ago when I was still in Maryland. Sorry, 3 years before I moved when I was still in Maryland.
Gotcha.
I put a couple of videos up of like me hitting with Van, me hitting with Justin and things like that.
Yeah, good players.
And like I remember seeing that on YouTube, they would get a couple of views, like a couple hundred views. And I was like, oh, not bad. I don't even have like 100 subscribers yet. So it's kind of cool, right? And I remember doing that a little bit. I remember every time I went out to Road to Vegas, I remember being like, oh, I want to document this weekend and things like that, or show off the practices, show off the kind of like the vlog style where we're doing in between practices and things like that. There's no real particular reason why I like to do that, though, Mehrban, before you ask that, because I don't really know why I like to do it. I've never done like video editing or anything like that before. It was just kind of like something where I was like, oh, I would like to maybe try to do this. It was just kind of something that interested me. And then, but I knew I liked it, right? So that was kind of like the big thing. And what ended up happening was earlier in 2024, my boss here in Seattle was talking to me about like, hey, like, I think it'd be cool. Like, we're starting to really build our program. Our club's really starting to get into it a little bit more. It would be cool if we could kind of document the story to kind of get the beginning and then see where it ends up 15 years from now, right? Be a very fun project to start showcasing, whether it's just the players and their level or the growth of the club, the expansion or whatever it is, right? And I remember just talking to him being like, I used to have a YouTube channel with like 10 videos that got like thousands of views. I'm more than happy to kind of just document and edit it out. Like, I don't mind at all. And he just goes, yeah, sure, why not? Started posting a couple of videos of the kids and things like that. And, same thing. Each video was getting more and more views. And I was just like, oh, okay, maybe we can continue to keep doing this. Maybe this is actually working.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where same thing, like I still do a lot of videos for the kids. I have one in the works right now, I guess, like spoiler, but we're doing another updated life in the tier 1 player to kind of see where the kids are at now.
Nice.
But that kind of just got me going and being like, wait, I could do something with this, right? I could really try to build this out. I have a lot of cool ideas that I want. And the Instagram stuff actually just happened this past year. I wasn't doing a lot of shorts or things like that, not in the slightest bit, but I did a lot of research, and basically a lot of people are talking about like the quickest way to have any sort of growth is through shorts. That's just kind of like a main source of content consumption. Right, exactly.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah, so I was just like, all right, well, time to start pumping those out too. Might as well. And yeah, that's literally it. It was just kind of, my boss talked to me, somehow got into that headspace again, because I was before that just thinking full on coaching. But then even now, it's been a little bit of a deeper dive with the club. I do a lot more social media for them, whether it's content creation or planning. I'm still working on editing and doing my own things, but sometimes I have a little less time for that, which is okay. But that's also something that's in the works now for the future. So happy to talk about that too. But yeah, that's basically how I got into it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I love that you really enjoy doing it. And I mean, man, your last video on Instagram, I laughed so hard. Where you had like the different items and, instead of date, you went for tennis, and RIP, man. But
yeah, RIP.
Yeah. But it's really fun, I mean, brands start to recognize you, things like that. Like I saw your Wilson unboxing video, like lots of cool stuff in there. And yeah, just a really fun content. Like I love to just like relax on the couch, like when I take a break or I'm eating, and just put on like a video of yours or, others obviously. But yeah, you do great work. What are some of the videos that you have found to be like the most popular?
So I will tell you now, the videos that end up somehow being the most popular, I hate doing. But well, it's not always hate. Not always hate, but it's more like I have a direction and a brand and a story that I want to try to tell with my YouTube videos. But the ones that get the most views are always like product reviews, right? Like I remember when I first reviewed the On shoes, I think that got like 10,000 plus. I remember when I reviewed a Regna, like a secret Yonex racket.
Yeah, I see that.
That one also got a lot of views in the beginning. I think recently, because I've been trying to recently I've been trying to gear the direction of my content towards like more vlogging style. That's been doing a little bit better as well.
Nice.
I also noticed that the ones where I talk about more USTA stuff, those get a lot of traction. I thought my video with Gabe, when I hit with Gabe, like the ATP guy, that would get a lot of views. That didn't do bad, but it didn't do the best. So I was very surprised about that. But like I said, I think it's just a different niche. And I feel like I just have to keep working at it to kind of find the perfect blend. Don't get me wrong, because literally the next 2 weeks, I have product reviews coming out, like very strong ones that I like. And the secret racket that's unreleased yet. So there's just
another one.
But yeah, but this one's actually unreleased. This one's unreleased. The Regno is just a Japanese exclusive. But yeah, so those aren't as exciting because there's very little story that can be told there, right? So that's all.
Gotcha. So with the product reviews, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit tricky because, you obviously like you're very appreciative of the product, but then you also want to be, honest, things like that. So have you ever found any like issues with that, or has it been pretty like easy for you?
Yeah. Well, at least with like rackets, that's fine because usually when I get rackets, they're just like, hey, go try this out, right? I'm just like, okay, luckily for everyone, rackets are personal preference. So it's either I like it or I don't like certain things about it. And normally when I do rec reviews, I always preface like that I give the review based off of how I play. Because I know it's like if someone plays flatter or like with a different grip, the review will be different. But I always tell them like I play with a little more spin. So these are like kind of my thoughts based off of that. I've never had a problem with like having a quote unquote bad product review moment because I also usually only accept ones that I'm okay with doing. Like I just did a ball machine one that's gonna come out. That video's gonna come out this week, and
Nice.
I've always like kind of thought that ball machines are outdated. So when they asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, I'm more than happy to. And I hate the video because it sounds so selly. Like I'm watching it back, I'm just like, oh, I hate it. I know for the brand it's great, but I know for the consumer, you guys are also gonna be like, wow, this guy's just totally selling this thing, right? But I actually really like this product. It does a lot of everything that people don't normally get with old school, like, or like older like ball machines, right?
Or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The ones I don't know about the new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like it's like this one's fully integrated with AI and things like that. So there's a lot of cool things with it. But yeah, so no, but not really. I've never had any trouble because like I said, I usually only partner right now with the ones that I can see myself actually using. But also I don't think I've had one where I haven't had many. I think someone asked me to use a shock absorber, and I was just like, I don't even use a shock absorber right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even really know how to explain the difference, right? And they're like, you can just, it's very simple. They're like, you can just do reels on it. Like, we don't need long form media. And I was just like, I really wouldn't know what to say though. I haven't used a shock absorber in over like a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially if it was like a product only, it's like for this like $5 absorber, I gotta make all these videos.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, shoot, there was one other. Oh yeah. So when you are playing, what my favorite videos are of you vlogging and playing, as we talked about. But like, do you ever, or maybe just in the beginning, or do you still feel now ever like any pressure? I mean, it's tough. Like I've seen some players who like they record themselves and just play terribly because there's a lot of pressure. So like, do you ever feel that? I mean, especially because you're filming some like really serious matches. There is a friend of mine who I'm not going to name him, but like he does not film when he plays like sectionals, nationals, and stuff like that. But you do. So you ever feel pressure when you're playing?
No. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I do a good enough job of telling my audience that I'm not that good at tennis anyway. So
yeah, okay.
I mean, but
So humble.
No, but I mean, I think if you watch through the videos, I think it's funny because you actually see a small journey of like when I'm dying and out of shit, I'm just like, oh, I can't breathe. And then like at a point I am actually playing decent quality tennis again. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where also like in the nationals ones, it's going to be pretty fun because that's kind of where I feel mentally and physically the best. Right. Just Arizona sucks, but no pressure. It's no pressure. Like I said, I think for me, it's just, I would say, okay, I will say that the only type of pressure I feel is like sometimes I get in the mindset of, okay, I'm doing this for content.
Yeah.
And sometimes that kind of messes with how I'm playing. So I remember there was a time at Washington State Open this year. We have a money tournament in Seattle. And I wanted to like lock in the first match because I didn't know my doubles partner, or I didn't know him that well. Okay. So I was just like, don't record the first match. I was like, Crystal, my partner, I was like, if you want to record from the side, you can. But yeah, and then after that, I got over it. We won, and I was like, okay, I got over it. And I was ready to go. And I asked him, are you good? And he goes, yeah, I'm good. So that's kind of like my thing is sometimes I notice myself kind of get into a headspace of like, oh, like what looks best for the camera. Yeah. Because when I play, I still get upset, but not like, I'm not like thrashing my racket, but it's like, I'm trying to like focus. I'm trying to lock in. If I'm not doing something well, I think being able to get the emotion out is a big part. And sometimes I don't show it because I know I'm on camera. But then because I can't get into that headspace, that kind of changes how I play a little bit. You know what I mean? I know that sounds a little bit weird, but yeah. So
you could just, mute the sound or something when you yell.
No, it's not about muting the sound. Sometimes I just don't want to like, sometimes I say some crazy stuff, dude. It's like, cancel Kevin. I'm just like, is this appropriate? I was like, I have like, no, like, I'll say some like outrageous things that nothing I'll get canceled. It's not like I'm saying slurs or anything like that, but it's just like, to me, I'm just like, to me, it's normal. To my friends, they would laugh, but it's like, I have a different audience watching me, right? So I just have to be more mindful of stuff like that. That's all.
For sure. I mean, it's a lot of like over 40. I mean, based on my surveys, like majority over 40 and like 3-5 to 4-5 players. But yeah, so yeah, good stuff, man. So in terms of like what you're, trying to work on your game, I'm curious, like we're all love to improve. I'm working on my like serve technique right now. Like what types of things in your game are you trying to elevate at the moment?
At the moment, my backhand technique and my open stance in general.
Okay.
Yeah. So I recently played my friend Mitch Stewart. He played number one at UW. He was like, I think his IGA like top 30, right? He's a monster, 14 UTR in his peak, something like that. Monster. And when you watch him play, like his movement is just the most absolutely insane thing. The difference is like I could rip a forehand down a line like big to his backhand. And in that video, he like does this weird open stance step where he just kind of like jabs at it. And then he will stick it down the line right behind you when you think you're gonna get a ball in the middle, right? But I think a big part is like his movement, because he's also not the biggest. I think he's like 5'10". His movement is crazy. And I think ever since playing that match, a big part of me is like, if I can stretch my legs and like get a little bit of better balance and be able to drive off of them a lot faster on both wings, then a big part of my game where it's like, we're a little bit shorter and stuff, a big part of my game kind of gets solved. Or I wouldn't say solved, but at least I'm going to feel a lot more confident about that part of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for us, like when you're smaller, it's like movement is the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, like these bigger guys are just getting the ball past you. They have longer wingspans. They don't have to take as many steps. They can reach farther, all that amazing things. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I've never really kind of had a problem with my forehand. And so I just feel like if I can work on playing on the stretch more than when I am inside the court, basically I'm good on all aspects. I was always better at doubles, or at least I was more confident at doubles. So being at net isn't a problem for me. Moving forward isn't the issue. It's just when I get pushed out too far, or if I get pushed out behind me, right? So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, footwork is so key. You gotta get there in the first place to be able to hit a good ball. And yeah, like I totally agree. Like for me, I've usually been more of a retriever, I guess, than like a power player and whatnot. Like trying to set up the point and using my speed to my advantage. But then like sometimes I notice that like my footwork efficiency isn't quite there. Especially like that's why a lot of coaches too like talk about like recording yourself to watch, which you're obviously doing, for content as well. So do you do any footwork drills, or is it more like when you're playing and practicing, like that's when you're trying to execute and practice?
Yeah, I don't do any footwork drills. I do not have time for that, unfortunately. But basically, for example, if I know I'm working on my open stance backhand, basically every time I do get to hit, I'm only doing that, even if the ball's coming like one step over to I'm just because I know I can step into it, so I'm not worried about that. But it's just like every rep I can get on that, so I'm not getting many a week anyway. I just try to go for it and just try to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think people sometimes have this fear of, they have they have a weakness, but they don't practice it. Like, I'm like in doubles, like for a long time I was playing the deuce side because I wanted to hit like all forehands, but then I thought, I really need to practice my backhand return. So I started playing like ad side, and then like my backhand returns gotten way better now. So you just definitely need to get out of your comfort zone. So in terms of, yeah, for sure. In terms of content, I mean, what's any previews, anything coming down the horizon for us or anything? You can.
Yeah. So, I mean, I told you about a few things coming up in the next month, but I think next year it's going to be super exciting because I'm in the works right now with our club to kind of be able to travel internationally and nationally for a few things. I want to start a new series called Training Like a Pro, where basically, I don't know if you saw also, but I got to hit with Simon Freund in Sweden. So I'm going to actually be able to train with him and kind of go through a day in a life of what it was like for him as a pro. Like he's going to guide me through it, introduce me to his trainer and things like that. I have a friend who played in college. He played at Delaware, but he's from Malaysia. And he's like, yeah, I can introduce you to our kind of like training team or training facility here that trains all the juniors and things like that. Take you through what a day is like for them. I want to be able to hopefully go back to JTCC and then do something there, right? But I want to be able to start the series where, one, it kind of keeps me playing, but two, I can kind of showcase how different training internationally versus in the States can be, right? But also across different countries and things like that.
Yeah.
I still want to do, so I had this older series that I haven't been able to do, but it's called The Hunt, where I'm just kind of looking for the coolest tennis courts, coolest tennis venues around the world.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully while I'm doing that, I can tackle that series at the same time. But those are just a couple things that are in the works. Besides that, the goal is still to showcase a lot of our players, showcase just my training back here, showcase our coaches. I want to try to plan something where Gabe hits with Mitch, because they also want to get on film and do that. That'd be fun and exciting. So yeah, a lot of different things in the works for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely exciting. We should definitely get you back on, if not sooner, by that time, like when you're in that series,
Yeah.
the traveling and have you back on and talk about that. Yeah, find the cool courts is an awesome idea. I remember one of my best buddies, Victor, he was telling me like, oh, you should try to do that and then like get them to, go there for free or whatever and play there. And I was like, it's a great idea. I don't know. But you go ahead and do that. So, and yeah, do you want to give a shout out to, your team and like, where it's based and all that? And
yeah. So one, shout out to my USTA 5-0 team. You guys are the best. Sorry again, I chose not to go to nationals for 10-0, but yeah, you guys will be okay. And shout out to Tier 1 PNW. So it technically started in California, but my boss was one of the kind of like the co-founders and directors of it down there and brought it back up. So big shout out to them. If you guys are ever in the area, whether you're junior or adult and you want some serious training, come check us out. We're at Woodinville Sports Club in Seattle, or I guess out in Woodinville. But yeah, we're doing some serious stuff, and don't be surprised if in 10 years from now, we are like the next IMG out in Seattle.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Do that. That'd be sick. Yeah. Keep working hard. I'm sure you'll get there. And yeah, dude, Kevin, we could have talked for a long time. Apologies. I unfortunately work stuff, but we will definitely get you on again soon, but really enjoyed talking to you and definitely obviously keep in touch. I just want to, recap in terms of like, where should people go to check out your content? If you could just let them know.
Yeah. My handle on everything, my username is Kevin Hsieh TV on everything. YouTube, Instagram. I post a little bit on TikTok if there's anyone here who uses that. But yeah, it's basically those three.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, Kevin, great seeing you. It's awesome to see you in person. First off, we definitely miss you in Maryland. So let us know when you come back here. And, got several people who I told that I saw you and they were really happy and whatnot. So yeah, all the best to you, and everybody check out all the different channels that Kevin mentioned. We'll have them on the show notes page as well. So definitely check that out and click them. But Kevin, thanks again and appreciate you coming on. We'll see you again soon.
Yep. Thanks for having me.